Hi everybody, you're very welcome back to Law Hero. My name is Jen and I make videos about the law. But last week I actually made a video about action faking, and this week I want to follow it up with something similar. And it's something somebody said to me during the week, which is there is no time to be a human being. And I found that very sad and I wanted to discuss it today. So last week we talked about action faking. That's when you procrastinate and you do things that are, seem productive, like buying a personal development book, but actually don't really contribute to your overall efficacy. This week, however, we're going to talk about the efficiency paradox, which is the cost it can have on our humanity. And I say this because sometimes I get quite overwhelmed myself and I go into robot mode. And what that simply means is that I don't spend time cultivating relationships because I'm just so burnt out. I don't have the energy. I don't have the energy to explain things properly. I'm short with the people around me, and I'm sure you've been in a similar predicament. So we're going to talk about that today. This culture of optimizing every single second has come from obviously our capitalist society, and what it means is that, like a computer would, and like the rise of computers since the 70s, 80s and 90s, and now we're at a level that's just exponential, we as humans are trying to assure that every moment is optimized, that every task is streamlined, every moment is accounted for in the name of efficiency. Now, if you, like me, have read the 4-Hour Workweek, you will have considered productivity hacks like batching tasks, outsourcing, all this kind of thing. But a lot of the time, it's just not enough. There never seems like there's enough hours in the day, and it feels like the more you do, the more you have to do. So, what is our thesis here? As we march towards an ever more efficient society, we risk losing the essence of what it means to be humans. Sometimes you say, are we human beings or are we human doings? This exploration today will delve into the paradox of efficiency, reveal how our obsession with optimization in every aspect in our lives, because it's a spillover, from corporate culture into our personal life. You don't have to worry about this because you're a dog. And it means that there's very little room to live. It's a depressing story, so you don't have to listen for the whole thing. So yeah, let's delve into it and see if we can find anything good. So first of all, where did this cult of efficiency come from? Well, if you're like me and you were interested, that it comes from the Protestant Reformation. And what basically happened there was, and I actually didn't know this myself. So a lot of people attribute the work of Martin Luther, not Martin Luther King, by the way. I'm talking about the German Protestant reformist, and what he essentially did was make it mandatory for the people around him to read the Bible. And then what that did was, obviously, the invention of the printing press allowed for that mass literacy. But that's exactly what happened. Because people were more literate, they became more educated. They read more. They wrote more. And that is where the Protestant work ethic came from. It came from that being educated, being more knowledgeable. That's where it came from, and I actually didn't know that. There's actually very interesting data to show that where there was Protestants, there was an educated populace, and this is because of the skills that came from reading and writing. And then, of course, this led on to the Industrial Revolution, and the rise of other technological advancements. And as we all know, the Industrial Revolution meant that productivity, as we know it, was prioritized over personal fulfillment, especially after World War II and the economic wonders that came after World War II because of the rebuilding of the world. People stopped believing in religion because of, the atrocities that happened. Religion just didn't seem as purposeful anymore, and people started to turn towards the green dollar. That seemed to be more enticing. It seemed to offer more of a return on investment. The more you put in, the more you got out, and that's where we got the American dream. That's where we got the economic wonders of post-World War II in Europe. That's where we got the TV dinners, and everybody can have a fridge, etc., etc. And we had it in Ireland as well. Now, not on the same scale as America did, but we certainly had our own delayed Wirtschaftswunder with the Celtic Tiger, and now we are, we've come out of a recession in a wonderful way in Ireland. Now, there was obviously austerity for a while, but we all are now benefiting from the economic growth which has come with tech firms being in Dublin in particular. And what that has done is now put us in Ireland on an international scale, but it's also meant that we've become quite influenced by that American dream or work culture across the water, something that we're not used to in a country mainly agricultural before those big US companies came here. Side note on that, and I know that I'm rambling a little bit, but I quite enjoy rambling sometimes. Did you know that it was because of the Shannon industrial area and that those big tech firms eventually came here? So there's really interesting videos on it, but basically the Shannon area of Ireland became a no tax zone where US flights could touch down and basically benefit from a tax exemption. And that's basically where it came from. I never really knew that myself. That's where the relationships came from. That's where the tax breaks came from the US companies. And of course, because we're a common law English speaking country and also an educated country, now we've become more educated, but that was one of the incentives for the US companies to come to Ireland. Anyway, I digress. We're talking about efficiencies here. So the modern manifestation of the workplace means that we're required to do more in less time. So what that simply means is that we have, productivity apps, time management techniques, performance metrics, and this is what's important to show that we are productive. This is how we show our worth to our employer. It's to show that we're not wasting time. We're not creating something physical, we're dealing with information here. So it's our categorization, our volume of information, our turnaround times. That's what shows we hit our KPI. The problem with this is that it has spilled over into our personal lives. And I know this myself. So for example, when it comes to running your house, you may run it just like you run a business. You may have, if a system in place that if something runs out, it might be on demand, subscribe and save on Amazon Prime. I've been known to do that with toothbrushes, for example, but I've veered into other areas like skincare. When it comes to fast food, you want the quickest, so you order it on, Just Eat or whatever. And even when it comes to dating, with the rise of online dating, it's much more efficient to sit at home and swipe through 15 people than talk to 15 people in a bar. So what does all of this mean to us as humans? I'm sure you can join the dots and see where the disconnection is. The first one, of course, will be our mental health. We're social animals. You saw that during COVID lockdown that people especially felt the human cost of isolation. It was because of this online presence, and that impacted them massively. It meant that excessive efficiency caused burnout, anxiety, depression, and there's been a lot of studies around that, unfortunately. The other area as well where the human cost of efficiency does impact, and I've seen this myself, and I was just saying it today, is around our relationships and community. It's no longer a priority to focus on what's around you. You're so busy making your own life efficient. And I'll give you an example. So when I used to go to the hairdresser, I would work on my laptop and not speak to anybody. I would be so engrossed in my work, I wouldn't dare have a human conversation with anybody, just in case I was wasting time. Now I make a point of looking the person in the eye, talking to them, trying to learn as much as I can about other people, because I realize that our interactions, they're quite low nowadays compared to what they were, and that is not good for our mental health. We are social animals, and I do not mean social media. That is a faceless, experienceless thing. Even what I'm doing right now, talking to you on a video, this is more of an experience for me as the self, as it is as a social bonding cohesion. It is not. You may feel less alone hearing my voice, but it's not going to be the same as if you were in, the same room as me and we were having this conversation with a cup of tea or something. I was going to say over a pint, but I don't drink anymore. Anyway, social media interactions and parasocial relationships are no substitute for real life connections. Don't you ever forget that. I know that myself though, when I go and visit universities or when I talk to people in person, it's just a completely different gig. And then lastly, the relentless pursuit of efficiency means that we're trying to optimize all of our time and work, so we stop doing our hobbies, we stop doing the things we love, and the very activities that make us who we are start to fall to the wayside because we're trying to be too efficient. And this hit me hard when I was thinking about this. I really have done that. I really have shortcutted little simple things. I'll give you an example. Reading. When I get overwhelmed, I stop reading, and when I stop reading my books, I lose perspective on the world. Books give me perspective. They make me feel small. When I feel small, I feel much better about myself. I don't like being the main character. I want to live the human experience. I want to live a collective experience that other people have lived. I know what I'm feeling. I know I'm not the first person to feel what I feel. And when I feel really alone, I lack that collective feeling. So that's why I read books, because I'm like, this person has had that feeling before. And it's not the same as YouTube. YouTube is great and everything like that, but sometimes I just need to be away from the screen. So yeah. Okay, now let's get on to the most important piece of this video, which is the efficiency paradox. Okay, so what is a paradox? A paradox is when, beyond a certain point, an effort to improve efficiency actually becomes counterproductive, leading to decreased quality of life and even a lower overall productivity. It's the same in sport. After a certain point, you have diminishing returns, and this is because you've reached an optimal level of performance that you cannot sustain without diminishing your return. So a really good example would be you ask people to come up with 2 innovative ideas a month, and people start to dread it because it's not coming naturally to them. It's not organic. So what they do is they start making up stuff just to tick a box, and it has become absurd. It's become a waste of time. It's become paradoxical to what the original good motive was. So then the question is, how do we reclaim our humanity? And the first area that most people will have noticed this is the slow movement. You'll see it on Instagram. You'll see, if you like slow vlogs, I've done one myself, a slow vlog. Let's slow everything down. Let's do a bit of yoga. Let's focus on sustainability. Let's focus on community. This is slow. This is anti-hustle culture. You may have seen that. And in my own little way, what I do is I watch the Japanese vlogs on YouTube, people making food, people doing origami. I like the Japanese culture, and it helps me to slow down. A lot of them are Zen Buddhists, and yeah, I mean, it's just a way of life for them, and they adopt wabi sabi, which is, there is imperfection. There is perfection and imperfection, and these are just concepts that help me to slow down and help me to stop being so aggressive in my goals, and make me see that there's a different perspective on life, in enjoying the small everyday things, which is called saikatsu. The joy of making a meal properly, the joy of cleaning something thoroughly. Those are taking joy in slow tasks, and our fast culture has meant we've lost that. The second big one is mindfulness and presence. It's become massive. Living in the moment and stop looking to the next thing. When you're eating your dinner, stop thinking about dessert. When you're eating dessert, stop thinking about what you're doing on, what you're going to watch on television. I know I certainly have been like that, and I've had to pull myself back time and time again, because my tendency is towards the next thing. And then I suppose that the final one is to balance efficiency with fulfillment. Is there a way you can be efficient but set personal boundaries? And in those personal boundaries, it's slow, it's deliberate, it's you being your best self. And what I mean by that is, walking to the beat of your own drum, not doing what other people are doing, listening to yourself and saying, no, I don't want to do that right now. This is what I want to do right now. And bringing yourself that joy that comes from just being, whatever that may mean to you. It means different things to different people. So I guess my question to you is, have you over-optimized your life? Have you made it to a point that you're acting like a robot in some areas, and you're just not enjoying yourself because you've lost your humanity? Have you cut out some conversations with people because it means 10 minutes less on the emails? Have you stopped replying to people because you don't have time? Have you stopped doing hobbies because it's interfering with your work? What is it? Why? Why are you doing that? Ask yourself. This is a reminder to slow down. There's too many people suffering from metabolic syndrome, and the metabolic syndrome is coming from that fight or flight that people are constantly in, because there's always another fire to put out. There's always more work to do. What I would say to you is, there will come a stage where there won't be another day. So live every moment, be in the moment as much as you can, and try and train yourself not to be such a pessimist. Try and see that it will eventually work out. It will eventually go your way. There will be ups and downs, but more importantly, if you feel like things are going too fast, it is within your control to slow things down for your own benefit, if not for other people's. I hope that was informative, and I'll see you in the next one.